Now that college basketball is over, if you're not watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, affect your pulse. The hits that these guys have been laying on each other, like the Dallas Minnesota game last night. There's been a fight in the Tampa Bay Montreal game. Buffalo and Boston has just been like
Fantastic.
a dogfight. This has been. I mean, obviously my Blackhawks aren't in the playoffs. Mark them up on a list of teams that I love. They ain't doing shit this year, but this has been a hockey playoff,
Yeah.
and we're only first.
I'm glad the Preds kind of choked their way out of it too, because they didn't really deserve to be there. So I'm happy they're not there to disgrace me.
Yeah, I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Look, the White Sox aren't the worst team in baseball either. Like,
Yeah,
the Mets haven't won a game in a month.
Yeah, they've on a $370 million roster, they have lost 11 straight.
Since we are at college basketball, nobody rebuilds anymore at college basketball. It's obvious, painful, it sucks a little bit, but you're either getting one and done freshmen out of the portal, so you can pretty much do it overnight. The question is, who actually does it right? One team right now that I think looks really, really scary with some of the news that came out today, Louisville, getting the guy from Iowa that I can't pronounce his name that hit the game winner against Florida. That's a big grab for them to already add to loaded portal class. And then also, I see a lot of hype and a lot of rankings have Texas way up there, but I don't get it. That seems like a bunch of names that people put that are very good names, but I don't know how it's going to work. Like, I don't, between Swain and Johnson, the transfer from Colorado, I don't know who's going to be your main guard, because both those guys take a lot of shots. Volkaitis was great, and you bring in Punch with him, who also is ball dominant and not great from beyond the arc, so you're going to clog up. I don't see how this is going to be put together, and then work. Just curious what y'all's take on that is.
So yeah, Texas, obviously adding Amari Evans, that was a big piece. Volkaitis, he was great in the tournament. I think the hype behind Texas right now is what Miller did with a little, and now it feels like he's got a lot. And I think there are a lot of people are putting stock into that. I mean, they took like really a kind of like limped in 11 seed to the Sweet 16 and gave Purdue a run for their money. It was a one possession game on a miracle tip that might have been a push off by TKR, but who am I to judge, you know? But I think the hype there, and like I said, is like you had a roster that was pretty decent in an SEC that was pretty good. And now you have a roster that is on paper very good, and in an SEC that might be better than it was last year, especially at the top. And then with some of the transfer teams that are, you know, like you got your Florida with everybody and their mother coming back, probably the number one team in the country preseason. You got Tennessee making moves left and right. And this Texas team is going to be right up there flirting with the top 5 of the conference. And then obviously, you know, game breaks one way or the other, they could be looking at an SEC championship with that roster. So yeah, I buy the hype. I'm still more, if I was putting money down on any particular team right now in the SEC, I'm looking at Florida and Tennessee. Those are the teams that I'm making moves. I mean, I'm like, I'd be selling like crazy if I was an LSU fan, because they don't have a single player on the roster.
They did get Diabate.
Yeah, they did. Yes.
So they at least have one.
Yeah. Sure. 1 on 5. They'll be like Siena. They won't rest anybody.
You literally can't.
But no, I'm buying, Jake. Brad, what do you think?
No, it feels like there's a big jump, and there's no like, who's going to be the guy for them?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to be the man? Maybe you don't have to have one. I don't know. But I personally, I feel like we've seen that, especially this season, that you have to have the man. And if you don't, you're going to end up like Tennessee, and which yes, Elite 8 run, okay, but we had nobody to go to the ball. I had nobody to go to on many occasions, and probably could have made a deeper run if we did. But that's just one of many examples of many teams. That would be my concern is I don't know if they have the guy, but there's a lot of off season left to play out and see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah. I just, like a couple years ago, this reminds me a lot of the Kansas team that had a bunch of names. I just don't think the pieces work together. Right. Like,
yeah.
The reason to me, the way Texas was able to take advantage, they got hot because they earned that 11 seed in the first 4 because they weren't that great all year, but they got hot. But you had 4 shooters spaced around, and if you count Heidi, you had 4 shooters spaced around Volkaitis, who was able to clean up in the middle. And so they would shoot like those guys could, and I mean, he was mobile enough, you could run pick and roll, so you had a bunch of space to work with. The space doesn't exist with Punch and Volkaitis out there. Like,
Yeah.
Well, those guys are mobile, but you can't have both of them on the floor at the same time. So what's the point of that? And because they both play the exact same way, neither one of them can really shoot the three ball. So it's not like it's going to guard them out there. So now you get the problem Tennessee ran into with Estrella and Okpara. You're just playing drop coverage at 13 feet and just clogging up the lane. And then, I mean, like I said, Swain shot the ball a lot. Johnson shot the ball a lot at Colorado. You can't have that many guys shooting 300 plus shots on the year because there's just not that many shots to go up. So I just don't know that and I could be wrong, but I'm not a very high on Miller. I'm always very critical of him. So
Yeah.
I don't know that it works that well, especially if you have a coach that's subpar. But hey, I could be wrong because I mean I've been wrong a lot, but I don't like the way that's constructed. I like all those names. I think all the individual pieces are very talented pieces. I just don't think they fit together.
It'll be interesting to see how they come together. I mean, if they start the year off as a flat potato dud, then yeah, I'll come on here and say I was wrong. It's like not the first time that's happened, but I am buying the hype a little bit. I mean, Miller was able to do wonders with an okay roster last year, so I'm curious to see what he can do with some actual talent.
I mean, that'll be fun. It'll be fun to see. It's just one that stuck out to me that people they were shooting way up the rankings, and I was like, I don't know if I'm buying that. I think they're on pace to be better than they were last year.
I can see them being better than last year. I just don't know if they're going to be, gangbusters. But
we get 6 months here to debate about it, forget about it, because I mean the draft could run like when the draft comes out, and they'd be a draft that could just wreck a bunch of these teams, and who knows, they may end up with the best roster in the sport after all that happens. Who knows? But it's just interesting to me that Texas, like of all places, jumped way up, and without like one of the top end guys in the portal or top end freshmen.
I don't think it was necessarily like getting the top guys. It was more of getting a handful of like really good top 50 guys.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't think you're going to see anybody that's going to be a national player of the year candidate on their roster. I think you got some like potential like all teams on that team, which is, I think, where they're aiming for. I think sometimes, especially with the NIL era, if you're so top heavy, like you mentioned the Kansas team, the pieces just didn't fit. Like Hunter Dickinson, for example, competing on the floor with a bunch of other guys that are used to being a star, and it just wound up being kind of a congealed mess.
Well, you had him and Flory out there, and it's like,
yeah,
those two guys play very different, and they don't exist on the court at the same time, which you can't take advantage of how either one of them wants to play. And I think that's not necessarily the same issue, because like I think Punch and Volkakaitis want to play the same way. It's just they need the same amount of space, and it's a limited basketball court.
My kid is screaming daddy right now, so we're like potential me going up there and having to square that situation away. So I might have to duck out for a few minutes, but
if you want, go ahead. I was like, if you want, go ahead. We're at a spot where we can switch topics, then that would be unless she needs to wait for a minute.
Let's keep rolling. Part of being a parent, folks.
Well, what have we got? Let's see. Do we want to do our for our best returning rosters?
Let's go ahead and tackle that, because I do think as a group we've got 6 together that have returning rosters that more lean on the side of player development and team continuity, and whether or not that really translates into modern success in the NIL era. Because in like Dusty May proved it, like you don't necessarily Boston scored. You don't necessarily need, 3-4 year senior that's been on your team forever and knows your program and all that stuff. You can go basically cherry pick whatever players you want inside your own conference and grease the palms of anybody you're in the handshake line with. Dusty May, cough, cough. But we've got 6 teams that really, really followed the blueprint from basketball 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we could talk about their varying levels of success that we think that they'll have and this year, and maybe even going forward in the future with the rosters that they have.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to have with this conversation, because you got some very interesting scenarios with, like, I mean, Florida is the one, right? Like that's because especially with which I'm shocked at Hoff's decision here to come back. I don't know that it gets better for him by playing an extra year.
That's exactly right.
Like, I think he played himself up into lottery conversation, and one more risk of injury, one more year for scouts to pick you apart. So that confused me. But hey, he made the decision, get paid at Florida. You're looking at a great chance to run that back, because what everybody decides is Xavier Lee is coming back, that of any value to Florida. And then can you lose testing draft waters, but not
Yeah.
like it. I don't know what'll happen there, but it feels like it's a decent chance he comes back
Yeah,
too.
he will make more money as a college athlete than he will as a pro. That's the thing with him.
Yeah.
You're right with Hawk. I mean, it makes more sense for him to go pro right now. I want to know what fat paycheck he is getting right now.
I know a lot of these decisions, like they're starting to look at the draft below them, and they're like, well, next year's draft isn't as stacked as this one is. And this is like, there's a lot of comparisons to that '03 draft with LeBron and Carmelo and all them. Like, so you're looking at next year, like, oh, it's not as loaded, but still, it's one more year of tape that I don't know. I'm not in the business of advising whether people should go or not, because I don't know enough, but it feels very risky for like a junior coming back to be a senior, because that's a lot of tape to get picked apart. And if you don't shoot the ball as well from three this coming year as you did the previous year, then like that hurts. Or if Condon decides to have a great year this year because he's coming back, like there's going to be a lot of those points are going to go his way instead of defaulting to you. Or like at the beginning of the year, Hoff made a lot of noise, but Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee and Urban were struggling so bad, somebody had to. So if they don't struggle, does he show up as much? I don't know. Like that, I think that's a
That's a good
surprising
point.
decision there. But from Florida's standpoint, that is a fantastic news, because it's going to be a consensus, right? Like as of right now, that's the number one team, and it's going to be preseason number one, and there's not going to be a doubt, right? Like it's nobody's voting against them.
I don't think there's a doubt. So here's again, I come back to all things Purdue. It's just who I am. Like they have the continuity that Purdue had going into this last season. My worry is with everybody else getting better around them, is it going to be like Purdue where everybody's going to say like, oh, they're preseason number one, and then they have one or two losses and then everybody's selling like crazy. Because that's what it felt like with Purdue. Like they struggled early in the season. They had TKR out for a couple games and this, that, and the other thing. If they show any signs of weakness, they've got a big number one target on their back. They're going to be preseason number one. I don't think there's a doubt about that. But the talent level building around them at some of these other schools, some of these other big names, I think is going to really, really test that continuity method, whether, developing works more than reloading. Because you mentioned rebuilding just doesn't work anymore. If you're rebuilding, I'm sorry, you're done. You're dead in the water.
You're given enough time as a
You're
coach.
dead in the water. You have to reload. And right now they're not reloading. They've got continuity and all that fun stuff, but everybody else is reloading and they're ready to give Florida their best shot. So I would like to see how this translates into the SEC season and obviously in the tournament play next year. But that's kind of my thoughts on the Florida team. Hands down, far and away, a mile ahead, preseason number one. How does that translate in November and December and January? So, Brad, what do you think?
And you can't underestimate the chip on your shoulder of getting bounced in the tournament the way they did. And those returning guys coming back, that's going to be sitting in their brain all season long and all off season. So can't discount that at all.
No, not at all. Because I think it does get to you.
Yeah.
I mean, continuity matters quite a bit. Like I know everybody's going to look at Michigan and be like, oh yeah, they had one guy that had been there, or three guys that have been there more than 1 year. But of the Final Four teams, you had there was a lot of experience there on the UConn team, a ton of like returning experience for Illinois. Same with Duke. You had Evans and Nagumba and Foster, Malik Brown, and like so on. Like, so you're or that Duke went in the Final Four, but lead it like it's been that way for a few years, especially since this portal's gotten big. Like continuity matters at a standpoint. You need something there to say like this is what we do when this happens. Besides the coach, and then you add talent around it. So I think the issue with Purdue is they had the continuity, but they didn't add enough talent in and around it. And so I wonder, that's a great point with Florida. Are they going to be better than they were last year? Like you're depending on the players that you have improving enough to keep up with what's around, because guys from the lower level, mid-major levels are coming up, and teams are powers consolidating around you. So it's gonna be an interesting run. And I mean, like you've got in the conference, you've got the complete opposite too. When you look at Tennessee, you've got no continuity coming around, but
Yeah,
on. So it's going to be an interesting play there. But then, like another roster that I really like that's coming back is I like what Duke's bringing back. Well, the announcements aren't all the way in, but I like currently what Duke is going to be bringing back. You got Caleb Foster, point guard, who really kind of stepped up towards the end. The Gumba announced today that he's coming back. Evans is still 50-50, but then like they're adding some really good talent around that. There's a guy that I can't say his last name, Chikawu center, who didn't. I think he played 3 games last year as a freshman. I mean, he was practicing, so he's been on the team. He's been there. You've got a lot of experience coming back, and they're adding a lot of talent around it too. Especially Caden Boozer. And I mean, talk about a guy with a chip on his shoulder. He took a lot of heat for the past I got that sent UConn to the Final Four. So it's one of those. I like that roster coming back a lot, especially in the ACC. That's probably down to Duke and Louisville again. Nobody else was. Miami's throwing some haymakers out there, but
yeah, well, I like the Miami roster, but to your point, it's not so much continuity as it is like a reload. Where Duke, I think they went to UConn, and we mentioned UConn earlier as well, and we'll talk about them here in a second. But Duke is, I mean, they're a perennial top 5, top 10 recruiting class, and I think they've got an excellent recruiting class coming in this year.
Depending where you look, it's number 1 on 247, number 2 on 3. So however you want to look at it.
But yeah, they're not going away. They're going to be in your perennial top 10s every year. It doesn't matter. I mean, they could come out with like 5 names you've never heard before, and they'll figure out a way to make them.
I am interested from the Duke roster, like because I haven't seen it, but if the Blackwell signing is saying Evans is gone, because that's an interesting roster fit.
Yeah,
I gotta know. Like then now all the rumors coming around with the Bulls job being open with Billy Donovan and Shire, like that's a black hole that we'll fall into at the moment. But
yeah,
I do.
If we have 45 minutes to discuss the coaching carousel that would create and a power vacuum, then we'll touch on that. But we mentioned, UConn a couple times. That was one of the continuity teams that I wanted to talk about because, Braylon Mullins coming back. I think they lost Ryby, and then obviously Terrace Reed is going up, but they had Demery coming back. They had their 2 foreigners that they got last season coming back. They got Colvin Landrew coming in. They have this with everybody, including Solo Ball coming, I was thinking this is easily a top 5 team. And then we got the news that Solo Ball's got a wrist injury, is going to be out for the year. Does that torpedo UConn's chances? Because Solo Ball was a big piece of that equation.
I think especially without Caravan, it kind of knocks them down a tier. And I'm not saying they can't get back up there, but if we're looking at preseason stuff and that opening, the opening 2 or 3 weeks of ball, I think that definitely puts them on a secondary tier rather than the top tier. And they can, it's not final there, but that is a monster piece to miss. I know he didn't have a great year all year this year, but I mean, he showed up in the tournament when they needed him, and just defensively, he's very good. And the experience alone helps out, but I think it does knock him down quite a decent amount because replacing what he brought is going to be very, very tough. And it's not something that Hurley was planning on.
Yeah. So Solo Ball was one of my favorite pieces on that team. Obviously, I think Braylon Mullins has a metric ton of potential, and he could have easily tested draft waters. But from what I understand, he was getting about the same payday he would have gotten going pro. And that's for 1 more year of development to get bigger, to get stronger, to get better, all that fun stuff. Solo Ball was the piece, kind of the straw that stirred the drink on that team. Obviously, you had Caravan, and losing him is he was like the Aaron Kraft of the Big East. Just he felt like he was there forever. I mean, hell, he was in every Final Four.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I think when we're talking about team continuity, that is a blow, because when you're relying on a guy, especially a guy of Solo Ball's caliber, that's a piece where you're just man, I wish I had some more portal time. I wish I could go after a Juke Harris right now. I wish I could go after an Amari Evans or some other piece to kind of balance out the roster now that I'm missing that guy. So that's just kind of my thought on them.
Yeah, that's just Kentucky news. I really hated. That was a bummer to get that news today.
Yeah.
And that must be a bad injury to be already cut out for the year. I mean, I know the wrist is sensitive and it's very fickle and obviously massively important. So, but I find that to be really a devastating news for that young man.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now,
Is this a shooting risk?
that I don't have any of the details. I actually found out about this like before it was announced because obviously Braylon's uncle I work with, and he was like, "Yo, did you hear the news about Solo Ball?" And there was nothing even on the internet yet. And he was just like, "Well, family said," and yada yada yada. And I'm like, "Bullshit." And then like 2 hours later, there it is on ESPN. So I'm not entirely sure. What I can say is I had wrist surgery like 2 years ago. My wrist is still jacked up. Like it is not a fun thing. Like throwing a ball sometimes sucks. And that's
Yeah.
just the reality of like having a small injury because I'm an old man doing old man shit. That's Paul is a young dude. I mean, if he's out for a year, it's got to be serious.
Yeah.
Well, it just makes me think because that it may not be as serious because it may be a little more strategic here. And if it's a shooting wrist and the way the redshirt rule works, like you go ahead and call him for the year, let him rehab, get it all the way back. So that way he's not 80%, 70% when he's having to come back during the year. So buys him a year to rehab, keeps him on the NIL payroll, and like let you have a piece for the 27 season
Sure.
that you can depend on. I think it's
Yeah.
a little bit like it could be that he got chopped off and they're reattaching it, and so it could be that kind of serious. I don't know that it's that serious. Like I think I'm not saying the injury doesn't suck, but I think they might be playing a little strategery here to get the best benefit for him and UConn.
Another team that has really given us a lot to talk about this past season, I think will continue to do that, and that's Illinois. Um, they've got a lot. Do what?
Still can't pronounce the roster.
Still can't pronounce it.
All the guys I can pronounce are leaving. It's unfortunate.
Yes. But Stojankovic, with him coming back, is obviously huge. And then you've got Merkovich coming back, and then the two.
Big Z.
You know what? The funny part about this is they've been in basketball for a long time. We should know this shit. We should really
I know.
But it is a phonetic nightmare, half their roster.
It really is. But they've got some returning talent. Obviously, they're going to be missing Keaton Wagler, but they still have some pieces to be relevant and to be a strong contender. And so I'm excited to see what Brad Underwood's going to bounce back and, see what they bring to the table.
Yeah. Every like way too early top 25 has Illinois in the top 5 right now. In fact, they have them in the top 3 in most of them. I mean, they got continuity. They got talent coming in. I mean, they're like there was a rumor that Brad Underwood was taking the Sacramento Kings job, and I remember found out it was a fake account. And I remember thinking, I was like, what the hell? It's like Brad Underwood's probably on his way back to another Final Four with the roster he has coming in. So, and I still feel that way. Like, rumor be damned, Brad Underwood's put together a roster with some continuity and with some new talent coming in that I think is going to give Michigan and Michigan State fits for the Big Ten championship. And since we're mentioning them, Michigan State's right there. They have everybody and their mother coming back too. And in fact, they had a dude that was supposed to be the guy that propelled them to the next level coming back because he's going to be healthy. So we're in for a real treat at the top of this Big Ten. And it's an old school way of doing things too.
Which was kind of fun to see, but I really like what Illinois did, like from a recruiting standpoint. Like they brought the guys back, then the recruiting standpoint, they brought in a couple of big guys with Coleman and Morillo, but I love the Verakas pickup from Providence.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I think it's it's about as close as you can get and to getting Wagler back as you could with what way things worked out. He's a fantastic player, funny dude. Pictures of him spending that NIL money at the casino come out this weekend. That's hysterical. But just
I haven't seen
sitting
that.
on the
That's
table
funny.
like that's funny. But I mean, fantastic player. You got a great coach who's now tasted the Final Four, and like recently, and has a roster that can do it. That maybe if they don't get cold as ice in a football stadium, puts them a little bit better of a fight. But I really like what Illinois is doing. That they think their home court advantage is huge, straight crowd every time. But I'm not a sold on Michigan State, as I think they've got a lot of the same issues as we talked about last year.
Well,
Not a
hey,
lot of jump shooting happening around. I
so
think they had
so
a lot
here,
of things break their way last year that may not break their way this year.
here's the thing: we spent an entire offseason and start of the season dogging the hell out of Michigan State, and all they did all year was prove us wrong. It was the ugliest way of doing it, but they just proved us wrong. And so, like, here I am. I'm just going to make it public. I am not going to doubt Tom Izzo. I'm not going to doubt this roster. They took chicken shit and made chicken salad, and now they've got chicken salad. And I think they're going to turn it into filet mignon with this roster. I think they're getting some healthy guys. They got some continuity. They got all the pieces like to return and really make an impact in the Big Ten and college basketball. The Final Four is in Detroit this coming season. Imagine a scenario where you have a Final Four with potentially like an Illinois, a Michigan State. Tickets will be $1 million a piece.
I don't know that Michigan State proved us wrong this year. I think a lot of things broke their way that shouldn't have. That like you can't depend on. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna say we were wrong.
No,
I'm gonna say we were wrong.
okay. You grabbed North Dakota State and then Louisville shot the worst of their lives, and then you get Connecticut like in the tournament. Like I don't know that they like their wins from this past year weren't that impressive. Every time they played somebody that could beat them, should beat them, they seem to have lost. Not like I don't know. I wasn't impressed. I think they lucked their way into stuff this year that like from wins and losses standpoint. Not so I don't know. I still don't. I don't really like this team. I think they don't shoot the ball well enough. And you're going to have a fantastic defense and force turnovers and get some fast break stuff that I don't know that is as dependable as what it needs to be, especially with what you have guard wise in the Big Ten this coming year.
I apologize for my reactions during what you were saying. I was watching the Sabres literally have the puck in the zone for a minute on a long change and not be able to hold the puck on the blue line. It was just driving me absolutely insane. So I apologize. I mean, Michigan's going to be one of those. We'll see. I'm not going to doubt them this year. But if we're talking about teams with continuity that we can doubt, and I hate to do this, and we're going to piss off some of our local guys. God, I love you. My heart's with you because it's going to hurt me to say this. We got some major continuity for the Purdue Boilermakers, but is that a good thing? I think we got some potential to really, really build. I think it's going to be a kind of a learning curve with some of our newer guys. I'm not even 100% sure who starts for this team. I like our new guys. I like Ertl. I like Weber. Rivers Knight's pretty solid. Sinan Juan. We'll see. But the rest of the guys that are coming back, like DJ, like Omer, like CJ Cox, like Jakari Harris, Raleigh Burgess, for example, Jack Benter. I see like a lot of like decent, good players. I don't see a lot of potential like statement wins out of this team. They feel like they're going to be another slow, small version of Purdue basketball that is pesky in the Big Ten, but it's not going to win it. What do you guys think?
I worry that they have the exact same team as they did last year, that with the exact same weaknesses without a guy like Braden Smith to pull them through. Like Ertl may be as good as Braden Smith in a couple of years, but Braden Smith had that like extra to like drag that team out of things. And I don't know that you have that guy that's going to drag you out of stuff this year. So unless something changes defensively where you all you're fast, you get so much smarter defensively that you look fast, I think there's going to be some trouble there when it comes to knocking off the big teams and like making it past the second weekend of the tournament. Like I think that's where Purdue's going to run into trouble. I think they're going to be a good team, a solid team you don't want to play, especially on the road. But when it gets to neutral sites and like the Sweet 16, I don't know that they're as dangerous as they were this past year.
Yeah, I've got this genuine belief that this is going to be the first year in approximately 180 years that Purdue doesn't win.
Y'all are out the players era, right? Is that? Yeah. So
we're not in the players era. That's for damn sure. So, but yeah, so like again, I know I talk about Purdue a lot, and I apologize for anybody that's tired of hearing about it. But I saw they were going after Chase Richardson. You guys familiar with this kid? He's 27 class, great point guard. Got some bunnies, but he's a 6'1" point guard, and I keep seeing things like that, and I'm like, man, I love this kid. I think he's going to be great, and he is a Purdue guy. But then I'm like, Can we get a 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guard? Can we get one of those?
Uh,
Some explosiveness.
it's the same kind of diagnosis that we had last year. Like you need Harris and Cox to step up offensively and defensively to make up for some of the lack of speed and whatnot. Especially like I'm not sure how much of a rim protector Sion Juan is. I have not seen him enough. He wasn't
Yeah.
getting a lot of minutes in the times I've got to watch him play. So I don't know how much of a rim protector he is, but Clough is not a rim protector by any stretch. Jacobson tries, unless he puts on 100 pounds. I don't know that he's going to be a great on-ball rim protector. He might be a great help spot. I think you're lacking there, and you're lacking in front like on-ball pressure stuff that makes like it feels. I'm splitting hairs here, like, but that's the difference in getting from a Sweet 16, borderline Elite Eight to like Final Four to championship is you've got to have somebody that protects the rim and somebody who can absolutely stop the ball. And I'm not sure you have those guys on the roster at the moment.
Yeah, I would personally like to invite Daniel Jacobson to eat a steak sandwich with me, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 4 months. just a 20-ounce steak sandwich 3 times a day, intermittent weight gainer protein shakes.
So there's still no word on Clough?
There's no real decision made, but here's the thing, and I think this might have been one of our topics, is that if the rule passes that guys that are technically out of college basketball right now are granted a year of eligibility, how does that shake up the dynamic? Because there is a conversation going on right now that players can get a 5th year. And if that goes into effect, you've got guys like Braden Smith. If Braden Smith can't go pro, does he come back to college basketball? And then what kind of paycheck does he fetch?
Does he come back to Purdue? Like, this is where.
Right. So, like, that opens the door for a lot of guys that, like Alex Caravan. Is there a roster spot for him on you?
He's had 5 years, hasn't he?
No, he played 4. He was a true senior. So,
I
mean, things can get crazy really quick.
Yeah, like that was the next topic, or one of the next topics we had was that rule and like what kind of chaos that's going to bring. Because I know it was kind of a joke tweet out there, but I almost would take it seriously if I was one of these mid-major like Belmont or somebody in the NBC, A10, something like that. Just go make a roster full of these 5th-year dudes.
Yeah.
And bank on it. Like, like, okay, if it misses your mid-major, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like you're on TV getting embarrassed every night, but like, just go ahead and make a full roster of that. You can put together a major all-star team and have them like you're talking about. Like, you'd put Braden Smith out there and put him on the same team as Felix Okpara or like Seth Trimble. Us all enter the portal. And this is what kills me is like these guys are entering the portal, no banking on this rule coming through. Like that puts everybody in such a weird spot. Like, do you recruit them or do you not? Like, are we going to have like say the rule passes in June? Does that mean like July and August are going to be just a massive recruiting cycle again, like on hyperdrive? Like, but then you've already got like, it's the same thing. I've got the same issue with Drew Carousel because I was going to bring this up later. With Tennessee, how much are you banking on keeping that roster spot open for a guy like that versus letting a guy a step or two down go, like versus go ahead and filling that spot with a guy that's not Drew Harris, but you've got the next step down. Like, that's how I feel with some of these 5th-year portal guys. Like, if you bank on it and lose, like that's I don't know. That is a very weird spot, and this is part where the NCAA needs to fix their calendar on how they look at things, because this should have been decided if it was going to affect this year or not before the portal opened. I think to make everything work, they should just go ahead and say like we're not gonna have it in place for this year and move on. But that was requiring the NCAA to think about things.
Yeah, they
more than 2 seconds in advance. Like, they did this because Trump was like, and I wish the government would stay out of our freaking sport. I don't need you.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Keep
I don't
fucking up
all levels. I don't want the federal government. I don't want state. I don't want local. I don't want the city council involved in what we do here. Like that is like, I mean, you got the whole Bediaco fiasco that was happening. Grant Foster too, though him and Gonzaga like got in on a injunction. Like it's all these like things that are way outside the sport coming in and affecting it, and it's driving me nuts. I hate this new eligibility rule chaos. That like the rule is fine with me, just put it in place or don't drag your feet
Right.
on it. That's where this is driving me nuts. The rule's fine, go with it or don't. There's not a lot to this.
No.
It's decide if you want to allow the guys that graduated this year, like your Braden Smith, Felix Alfaro, Seth Trimble, those like your true seniors, if you want to give them an extra run or not.
Yeah.
That is the only decision that has to be
let him move on. Aaron Kraft was in college basketball for 76 years. I don't want to see that again.
Well, there's a kid that is like seeking like a 9th year of eligibility.
From UNC Greensboro. Lord.
Yeah.
But and his point, like 3 or 4 of those years, he's played less than 10 games. Due to injury. At some point, just give it up. It's like your body's telling you no, my guy.
Yeah.
But
my body is telling me no.
Yeah.
Speaking of body telling me no, I gotta, because Brad's wearing a Spurs shirt today. Is Wemby getting back on the court today?
No. Shams has already reported that he's out. He's in concussion protocol. So I still think that we can absolutely still win this.
Yeah.
It makes it a whole lot more difficult, that's for sure. But if we could come out with a squeak this one, win without him, that could be huge for the rest of the series.
If you can sweep and give him some extra time too, that's lovely as well.
Oh yeah.
Is first round a 3-game series, like our 5-game series, like best of 5, or is it best of 7? I can't remember.
I think it's all 7 in the NBA because they're trying to grab all the money they can. They want all the games.
Yeah, I think they changed that. So like multiple years ago, and like I just started watching NBA playoffs again last year because the Pacers were in it, and I had tickets for it. My wife is a diehard Pacers fan. I'm surprised she doesn't have a Pacers tattoo. So we're really putting a lot of our eggs into the top 4 pick basket. So see how that pans out.
So yeah.
Well, Brad, what do you think? The eligibility rule, good, bad, ugly, clean?
I'm kind of with you on this, Jake. Like just make the damn decision and let's move on with it. I think that there's got to be something. There's got to be something put in place. There's got to be some sort of parameters. But I agree, government influence here. I don't know how it's going to make anything better, but the NCAA has to commit to something, stick with it, and let's run with it. I'm tired of having this conversation every freaking year, and just kind of being dragging their feet, because that's ultimately penalizing teams out there and penalizing the student athlete, or I guess there's athlete in general. I don't know if they're students anymore.
Yeah, I'm wanting to know if Oscar Clough can come back. That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
That's all I want to know.
Would this rule qualify for people like that just got out, just for the Oscar Cloughs of the world, or would that pertain to like the Kai Zieglers of the world?
I think you open a door that you don't know how to close.
I don't know. I think it's you have 5 years to play for or something like that.
No, they're talking about 5 years of college athletic eligibility. That's what they're talking about.
No,
the Trump's thing was 5 years for 4.
That's what.
There's a whole CBS article on this. It is about potentially giving people a 5th year of eligibility. That's how crazy it's going to get.
Okay, this goes all the way back to COVID when we panicked, shut everything down for no good reason.
Oh, you're going to piss a lot of folks off. We
panicked, shut it all down for zero good reason.
If I can smell somebody's bad breath through their mask and my mask.
Anyway, so and we started giving random, like the one set of 4 years, you got 5 years to play because we played a full year in there. But for some reason, we didn't count that for baseball. But so you had that. And now it's like every way inch impossible coaches got used to having their seniors there for 5 years. And they've tried to figure out every way possible to get that 5th year, which once you do that, then it's going to be a 6th year. And it's the whole thing.
Have Aaron Kraft back in college basketball.
Yeah. You have to put down his stethoscope to come back. But it's just, I don't know. We screwed it up back then. We should have said, SOL guys, your senior year got screwed. I'm so sorry. See you later. And moved on and just kept it there, or given everybody 5 from there on out. that was the easy solution to this. And
Mm-hmm.
NCAA can't do that. But
No.
well, this gives us something to talk about all the time.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
On the more fun things, there's a handful of guys left in the portal that haven't signed. I'm just curious where you think they're going to go. Like, we're just going to go through the top. Mom Silovich.
I want him to go to Purdue. He's either going to go pro or go back to Iowa State.
Yeah.
I think there's no way he doesn't get drafted this year. It's
Yeah.
just, is he willing to, because he's what, near 7 foot and shoots a 3 ball at 50%. Like, you can't tell me there's not an NBA team that wants him.
7. I think he's.
You can't tell me there's not an NBA roster that wouldn't die to have another 7 footer who can shoot like that, especially at the end of the first round. If you're like, yeah, oh, okay. Either way, it's not as great then. But I thought he was taller.
He's 6'8". He's relatively quick. He can play defense and he can absolutely stroke the ball.
Yeah, like still at the end of the first round, you can't tell me that there's not a very good playoff team that could use an extra guy with some height and could shoot. But if he does somehow manage to come back to college ball, I think he's Iowa State. This one shocked me at how high he's up. This Alan Graves out of Santa Clara. Is it Graves? Yeah, Graves. I've heard him connected to Duke quite a bit, but I have no clue where he's going to go. I think he's all pro. I don't know that we see him in college basketball again, but
I think you're right. However, I've seen Duke for him. There was like small, tiny rumors when IU was going crazy in the portal that IU was on the radar. I did see Michigan, but hell, Michigan's greasing everybody. They're in a conversation. The one I've seen more than anything was Duke.
But this is one of the guys I think, like, if you've got a great returning roster, you can kind of hold out for. But with teams like an IU that didn't have a returning roster, or like LSU still has open spots. But like, if you didn't have a great returning roster, you need to fill that roster spot with who you could. I think he's a perfect example of like Duke and Michigan probably are the right ones because they've got, especially if Ade Mara comes back, they've got the spots filled.
I'm seeing Mara go as high as 10 or 8.
Yeah, I just hadn't seen his. I hadn't seen his decision. I know he's not. He's back to Michigan. Like, he's not in the portal. Like, I don't know. I feel like Graves is in the pros. It's definitely one of the ones that I see Duke or Michigan grabbing. The rich get richer. Maybe North Carolina because they just need people. It's going to have to be somebody like that. And the next one we got is Masamba Diop, who I think cut his list to east of the Mississippi. Last I heard.
Is that the guy from Arizona State?
Yeah.
Okay.
I swear he cut his list down to 10 guys. I was like, did you cut it at all, or did you just like pull 10 names out of the hat? Like, I don't know that he knows what he wants to do. I don't see him going pro, really. I don't think he had that great of a year, but I have no clue where he's going to land.
He'll be first with St. John's, with the St. John's pickup. But he got
they got Freeman.
That's right. They got him, so that would check them off.
I mean, Freeman's what, 6'9"? This guy's 7'1", so you can play them both.
That'd be huge, though. That'd be pretty sweet.
So the one you haven't mentioned yet, where's Juke going? I've heard UNC is out.
Look, I think he's Tennessee or pro. I don't think. I think we were this close in high school to getting him out of high school. Mom loves Tennessee and loves Barnes. That means a lot. Yeah. Forbes, coach at Wake Forest, is a big Barnes fan. Started on Barnes' staff. So I think there is a lot pushing him there. It's just, will they go pro? I don't know, but like, this is one that, like, I'm like with Tennessee. Do you pass up another guard to like, and he's also, I think his decision really is pro and then opposite of Nate Ament. Nate Ament goes, he's at Tennessee. If Nate Ament comes, he's going to Michigan. I think that's simple.
I think that's where we're at. I've heard that Tennessee is like the number one on the radar right now, but Michigan is looming. So it's got to be one of those two schools. UNC, I thought for sure was going to be a lock because UNC is going to be starting paying folks here real soon. But the Tennessee rumors there are pretty heavy.
Yeah, and the outlets that the rumors are coming out of, especially here locally, it's made it more kind of confirming that it's Tennessee's the favorite. Just the way that it's shaping out, the way history has kind of prevailed.
Then there's Mustafa Thiam out of Cincinnati. It's another guy I think has cut his list to below the Mason-Dixon line, and that's it. Like,
is he in the deep south of Louisville?
He's going from
Yeah,
Cincinnati down south, completely south to Louisville. Not directly across the state.
That's like nearing the equator there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some like interesting ones like not is it Dylan Mingo that's the freshman, or who's the one that went to Baylor? The brother went to
So
Baylor.
there's Dylan Mingo that was committed to UNC,
Okay,
and
yeah,
he is
he still hasn't
now
committed, right?
his brother just committed
Baylor.
to Baylor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was a shocking move because there was a lot of rumors about both the Mingos going to Illinois.
yeah.
Well,
That
I
would
think
be
some guys electing to come back ate the money in a roster spots.
I think you're absolutely right.
But I'm curious where he lands.
I kind of forgot about him, to be honest.
Yeah, the problem is he's hurt.
Yeah.
So, like, he's a top 8 dude, but do you get a top 8 dude and like hold him for a year? Then the potential that he's still hurt is this going to be like, he might as well go to Kentucky because hell, they paid a dude $400,000 a minute that he played.
Yeah.
So they just didn't get anything out of him. So
Yeah, and I don't like. I mean, out of high school, it was Carolina, NC State, and I think Baylor was in there. So I bet he ends up at Baylor. And from everything I understand, Stokes it's all Kansas. Like there's no doubt anymore, right? Like Pope is officially whiffed again. Like
yeah,
How do you mess up this bad?
dude. I think we mentioned it, and I don't think people wanted to hear it, but like the Kentucky logo doesn't mean anything anymore. The Kansas logo doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, when it comes to like picking a school and all that stuff, they're following money and they're following like potential for success. And a lot of people just don't see it in Kentucky right now. A lot of people don't see it with Bill Self in Kansas anymore. And that's not to say that program's not going to attract good players, because it still does, but it's just not as impactful as it used to be. I think Jake hit something on the head with a hammer. He did something. He did something, damn.
So one right turn I could throw out of there. Kansas is an Adidas school. A man has reportedly hated Adidas, and he's a Nike guy. He's already signed with Nike. Oregon is starting to make some moves, and Phil Knight is a graduate of Oregon. He started a company called Nike.
You ever heard of him?
So like,
he runs sweatshops in China.
So I mean, hey, he made his money he did. He spent it in college basketball.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
I don't have surviving lawsuit from Nike money.
There's some speed gaining to Oregon, so that Phil Knight doesn't have to see his next player wearing Adidas, like his next star wearing Adidas all year. So if it's truly just a money thing, it would, especially with the way that I see the personality of Tyron Stokes. He likes to be a little bit different. Like he didn't go to one of the basketball academies. He stayed at the local high school. He likes a lot of attention. He'll be the dude at Oregon, and he will get paid whatever they want, whatever Phil Knight wants to pay him. But I still think he ends up at Kansas. It's our official prediction, but it could be a lot of fun to see him take a left turn and go to Oregon. Just take a right turn.
That would be nuts.
And then I think that after that, everybody, freshman wise, everybody's committed. There's a lot of people in the portal that, not that you don't mean anything, but not to me. But congratulations on your next stop, and I hope it goes well for you. But so now we have a ton of fun with this. The CBS 25 way too early rankings. I think it is always fun that got guys are coming out with these kind of rankings before we even know what the roster spots are. We don't even know who full rosters are at all for anybody. We're still going to rank these teams. I'm going to run through them real quick. You stop me if you hear anything crazy. But we've got Michigan, UConn, Florida, Illinois. 6 is Michigan State. 7 is Arkansas, which I think is kind of crazy. 8 is Arizona. 9 is Texas, which I already think is kind of crazy. Kind of went through that already. 10 is Gonzaga. I think that's a little wild. 11, Iowa State. 12, Virginia. 13, Houston. 14, Alabama. 15, USC. 16, Tennessee. 17, St. John's. 18, Purdue. North Carolina, Louisville, Miami, BYU, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Vandy. Fishing out 26. Like I said, the ones I think are crazy or start all the way up there. Number 7, Arkansas. I think that is a big jump, kind of just like last year. I don't think the returning pieces are as good as what people want to value, especially Billy Richmond. Thomas is fine, but then Ewing, their big guy, just hit the portal today.
That's right.
I like Jordan Smith Jr. a lot. I think he's a great player, just like Acuff. But I worry that there's not enough room there because you've got Malik Thomas who shared the backcourt with Acuff, which was fine, but that pushed DJ Wagner way out. And now you got Jordan Smith Jr. who's all world, and Jeremiah Wilkinson who like carried Georgia all the way through everything last year. I think it's a very crowded front or backcourt that a lot of guys that like to score that and need the ball a lot. It's not going to get spread around. We've long been on the Cal isn't a great coach of basketball thing. So I think I think it's a little bit crazy to have them inside the top 10 right now. But they're definitely a top 25 team with all the talent they have. But I think inside the top 10 is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's the whether or not the pieces fit together or not. Arkansas is going to be one of those teams you just don't want to play.
No.
They're going to be athletic. They're going to be fast. They're going to have a guy that's like, they're going to have 3 or 4 guys on their team. Any one of them can shoot the lights out on any given day. It's whether or not they all click at the same time, but they're not going to be a team you want to play. I think they're going to hover between the top 10 and top 15 all year. I don't think they're going to find the inside of the top 5. I don't have an argument at all with any of the top 5. I would say Michigan State, despite your grievances there, Jake, are flirting inside that top 5 preseason. Now, whether or not translates in the actual season or not, that's where we talked about continuity, right? But then outside of that, I know we talked about Texas. Arizona's going to be there. Gonzaga is going to be an interesting case study on switching conferences. So we'll see how that pans out over the course of the year. But this could be the last year that we see a top 10 ranking from Gonzaga just because of who they are.
Did we see enough of Davis Fogel to really think he's going to carry a load offensively? Like, and I mean, Huff is fine, and then they lost like Saint Supreme or whatever is a fine point guard, but I don't think the roster's as talented. I think this is one of the weaker talented rosters that he was put together in a long time, and so I think having them in the top 10 is a bit is a reach. It's like we can't discount them like because they've done whatever the last few years. It's like, oh, we got to put them out there. And I don't like this version of Gonzaga.
Yeah, Jake, I think that's what it is. I mean, we'll get Brad's take on it here in a second, but Gonzaga in the conference that they've been in perennially, they're going to win out that game, those games. They might drop 1 or 2, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh my God, is Gonzaga collapsing?" Like, well, no, because they're probably not that good. And then they'll get beat by a Texas 11 seed that nobody sees coming or something like that. But I think this will be an interesting case study for the year of them switching into conferences and then seeing whether they could come out and be like the Gonzaga team from like 3 to 4 years ago, where they're like, "Oh, this is a Final Four team." We'll just have to see. Right? What do you think?
If they hold this and they actually do, pan out, they stay in the top 10 for the entire year, that will say a whole lot about Mark Few and what he's been like what a job he would do in this transition. Not trying to put him on a Mount Rushmore or anything, but this would be huge if this actually were to happen. I feel like this is just because of the name, kind of what we've said. But yeah, I find this to be a little bit of a homer talk here.
Yeah. Like I said, it's going to be very interesting how the year pans out for him.
I've been down on most of the teams we talked about so far. I think Iowa State people are sleeping on.
Yeah, I agree.
I think like Killian Torrey is great. Blake Buchanan and Bateman coming back, it's great. Still outside chance you get Momcilovic back. Bring in like Jaquan Johnson. Dude, that guy underrated, massive get. Out there, I think like that is a big time scorer. Like, the recruiting they do as well. They're great. Also, Bringer's a great coach. I think they were an injury away from making a real run this year. So, like, I think that's a team I would like to see a few spots higher. I'll flip them in Arkansas and be fine. But and then Virginia is another one that I think is being slipped on a little bit. That like you're getting guys like this. The most confusing thing I've ever had this
believing in Virginia. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I think getting him a second year, everybody second year in the system with Ryan Odom. They've got a decent recruiting class coming in. I think they're being slipped on a little bit. I only say top 10 for them because I don't like Gonzaga. Like this is like it's not like they're close. They're close enough there that I would rather have them there Gonzaga. But then I think this USC roster is super interesting.
It's getting interesting.
Yeah, like it's like I was super high on them last year, and then everybody felt like they got hit by a bus and weren't able to play for them. Yeah, like Rodney Rice, did he even play a game for him last year after transferring from Maryland? I don't think he did.
I thought he did. I don't know.
He tore an ACL, so he'll be back. You got Elijah Arenas, who showed some real talent at the end of the year coming back. They're picking up some big time spots in the transfer portal with Rebay and KJ Lewis. Some pretty good recruiting class. I like Muss as a coach too. So I think that roster is getting slept on quite a bit. I think they should be a few spots higher.
I'm going to go ahead and say, because you guys probably won't. I think people are sleeping on this Tennessee team for them to be that far down with everybody that they're bringing in. Now, a lot of it is, do these pieces fit when it comes time to actually tip off and play basketball? I personally think they do. And if Ament comes back and then they somehow still land Juke Harris, I'm propelling them into the top 10, and I'm not asking any questions about it, because I think this Tennessee team is building a roster that they're going to be known for their defense, because Coach Barnes can coach that to, like the, school for the deaf and blind, and still get a top 10 defense out of them. But they're starting to load up on this offensive firepower that I think has been the missing piece to get them out of the Elite Eight and into the final.
Like I talked about this last time. This team really reminds me of that JB Prince team that made the Elite Eight. Very long, like not as like back to the bucket big guy. So I think that's there. I think it is missing that key piece of Ament or Juke Harris to push them up, because right now you've got like Jalen Harrison could be that guy. Saw him play here in high school. Fantastic. Absolutely great at Notre Dame. He averaged 16 at Notre Dame, but somebody had to score for Notre Dame because they weren't going to get shut out. But they were very bad team. So it's interesting to me, see what happens there. If they Ament or Harris come, this changes everything. And I'm curious what Brad's take is on this, because I was talking to my dad about it. I think at this point, with the way the roster is built, I think I'd rather have Ament, because the way he played defense and like the shot blocking and the size and all that. Because right now we've got Miles Rubin and nobody size wise.
Yep.
And I think that's really what it comes down to. Not that I think he's that much better of a player than Juke. I just think from a roster need, that solves a bit. But
I completely agree with that.
I apologize for interrupting. Fans in Buffalo went to a fight and the hockey game broke out. It is 4-0 Boston, but literally everybody on the ice was just fighting for the last 2 or 3 minutes. They should have been running the clock because Buffalo needs this game to be over. But literally everybody on the ice was fighting just a second ago. So sorry.
I saw Josh Allen was chugging a beer before the game. Got everybody fired up.
How do you feel about 18 for Purdue there, Sam?
Is top 20 is fair.
That's where I was like, 15 to 20 feels fair to me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be honest with you. I don't know if they're outside the top 25, and I don't know if they're inside the top 15. I mean, there's going to be a lot of question marks, especially on the development side. And it's really, really going to test Matt Painter's methodology and whether or not that's going to survive in the next 5 to 10 years. He always figures out a way to get the most out of big men, and it always takes a couple of years for him to do it. So we'll see if we get any development from DJ, Raleigh Burgess. We'll see how Sinan Juan does. We'll see if we get Clough back, or if we get some piece in the portal or some kind of interesting thing to happen in the offseason. Right now, 18 is fair. 20 would be fair. 22 would be fair. 23 would be fair. 25 would be fair. But again, they could come out and all of a sudden you see a team that shoots 55% from three and are blowing teams out, and they're somehow quick and somehow different and somehow protect the rim like they did a few years ago. And we're having a completely different conversation about Purdue. I just don't think we're going to. I can see it not this coming year, but the next year. I can see us having a crazy conversation, and I could see Antoine West or Luke Ertl becoming top Big Ten players. It's a wait and see kind of thing for me personally. And I love my Boilers. Boiler up 100% all the way. And this is no way dogging them. I just don't think it's this roster. So,
and then we got 3 teams in a row here that I think are very disrespected for what they brought in. I think Gary Parrish really went the route of most continuity, and then ranked them that way when he did this list.
Yeah, he
But
did. He absolutely did.
Louisville, IU, and Miami, I think being 2021 and 22 was very disrespectful for the talent they brought in. I mean, Guy Lucas showed with not a ton of talent and a lot of leftover stuff that he could put together a real team. And now he's got a very talented team coming in with, I mean, Kaden Lewis was a huge pickup, I think, and I think very underrated. And Samodo Surreal, that's great. Add him to Shelton Henderson. Caleb Gaskins coming in. I think Miami is the most disrespected out of there. I don't think that he was given any respect. And I don't think the talent that they brought in, plus they had, was given too much. But I'm curious, of those three teams, which team do you think was disrespected the most?
I'm gonna go ahead and say Miami. Louisville's a 1B. My thing with Indiana is you have to be really, really careful. I think Indiana's building an amazing roster, and I think that they have the potential to be a top 10 team. And it could be a thing where we're talking about Indiana being back. However, Hudson built a monster roster like 2 years ago, and it was a flipping dud. So it's really going to come down to the culture in Indiana and whether or not DeVries, whatever the hell his name is, can shift that and shift the expectation back to Indiana being good at basketball. So I'm 100% on the, yeah, you got a great roster. I'm still going to be a little bit reluctant, but to me, what Lucas was able to do with Miami over the course of this year, and they were a fun team for me to watch. I believed in them from start. I'm believing in them again. I think they're going to find themselves in the top 15, top 10 occasionally throughout the year. Come ACC play, I think they're going to be one of the top teams. I think they're going to struggle against Louisville, which was the other team that we mentioned here a second ago, some of the pieces that they've added. And then obviously Duke and North Carolina, depending on what North Carolina does in the offseason, because the North Carolina name is still there. But right now, I think Duke is still the cream of the crop there, but you still have some pretty good talent with that Louisville and Miami team. So I think that they're 1A, 1B there.
Yeah, I think the fact that Louisville is ranked behind North Carolina is a travesty. I'm not sure that North Carolina should even be listed up there at this point.
I think North Carolina's just got a metric ton of question marks.
Yeah.
And I think we said that last year. I think we were the ones who were saying last year that this is going to be Hubert Davis's last year.
We were early on that. Yeah.
we were this time last year when we started, it was just three numbskulls talking about college basketball, and still we're the same three numbskulls, only like 280 more people watch it. We were all over that, and I'll stand by that. I think the North Carolina's got a lot of question marks, and granted it's a new hire, I still think that seat is crazy hot, and it's going to be until they can get some proven success and some stabilization in it.
Well, that's a fan base like Kentucky's fan base that still believes that the brand means more than what it currently does. And it's no fault to theirs. It's just the fan base hasn't adjusted to what the new times are. Like the new times are like your brand means jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's your money and your coach. And maybe Malone is the right hire. Confuses me a bit because I think he spent 2 years as an assistant coach at some small school in college. So I don't know. Yeah, having Louisville behind North Carolina is crazy. But there's still a lot of talent on those North Carolina roster, so I get why they're ranked. Like Visar coming back and Jared Stevenson and bringing in the dude from Utah was really good, and the Advalalas from Virginia Tech. Like they've got the roster, but losing Mingo hurt just from a talent perspective. Whatever you think of injury and fit and all that is beside the point. There's lost a lot of talent and not a great thing to do when you're for your first 5-star recruit when you're hired is to immediately lose him.
Yep.
But we'll see what Malone does. I think he's going to be given a little bit of grace here, but I think it's going to be about as much grace as Mark Pope has been given. And so you've got a year and a half to get something moving.
Yep. No, I agree.
You figure it out. But I'm curious what Kelsey does with this Louisville team, because this is setting up to be a very athletic, very fast-paced team.
Mm-hmm.
Flory and Shelstad added in Carter Knox, and then the G League player that decided not to play last year but spent the rest of the year with the team, the London Johnson. Yeah, London Johnson. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Like I think there's a lot of talent on this team, but I'm not 1,000% sure how it all fits together. I don't think there's a true point guard. I don't think Jackson Shelstad wants to be the true point guard, so I think they're missing that. It's going
That's
to
a good point.
be very, very curious to see how that team goes, but I'll stick with my Miami pick. And then one of the most shocking teams on here to me still is Vanderbilt, but because I know, like, Tyler Tanner hasn't said he's coming back, has he?
No, I just looked it up because I thought the same thing, and I just double checked. But I already looked earlier today. I double checked again, and no, it's still up in the air. And he's still Tennessee's that's still being chirped around about as well, which I
I'm
don't think
not
that's
crazy
give for that.
about what that he's brought in either. Like Ace Glass is a fine player. Got Dak as a okay player, both from teams that way underperformed last year. So I'm not sure. I mean, Byington's a great coach. Maybe he can get more out of those guys than what they did at the previous schools. But I don't know. I don't look at this roster and go, ooh. Like last year, we were questioning it because it was all in the metrics. Like
Yeah,
for a bit, I don't even. The talent was there. I don't even know if the talent is there. So if Tanner comes back, that kind of changes things a bit because it gives you a bona fide scorer and a guy to run your offense and a very good defensive player. But if he doesn't come back, I think this roster is in a lot of trouble.
oh yeah, it'll fall out quite a bit.
Do we think this is one that we kind of joked about it last year? What's his face at Ole Miss? They used to be at Texas and Texas Tech. They thought he had the IU job and didn't really prep for this year.
Yeah.
Do you think Byington thought he had the North Carolina job and didn't really prep this year that much? So now he's in a bit of a scramble.
I thought that's where he was going. I felt good about it too. I wish I could put a little money on that, but I felt that confident, but didn't need it.
No, I'm with you on that. Speaking of that, is anybody worried that LSU's only got one roster spot? I know we talked about that at the beginning, but they're not sniffing anybody's top 25 and one. But I feel like Will Wade is on an episode of Punk'd.
I love that.
But he'll figure something out. I'm curious, what happens there, because there's a lot of he's going to be able to fill spots because some guys are going to get to play in the SEC that don't deserve to play in the SEC for this year. That's going to be funny to see. But okay, I think Coach has given us the look. But the last thing I want to bring up, Billy Donovan not with the Bulls anymore. I've seen a lot. Maybe it's because I'm too tied into watching Kentucky people spiral. Seeing a lot of stuff about maybe putting him on the Kentucky staff and getting rid of Pope. And that's part of why Pope has not been able to recruit is because the administration hasn't been behind him. And then on top of that, you have the governor calling out how the school is appropriating spots and funds, saying like they used to have to go through a board of trustees to hire guys, and now people are just showing up hired without getting interviewed. And like the dean of law was not even on the recommended list now. So you got the governor calling them out. You've got some weird things going on in the program, and a lot of rumors of Billy Donovan taking over. I mean, he started there. He was on the same. I think he coached the team that Pope was on, or like was assistant on that team. So that would be a wild switch to happen. Is there any legs to that, or are we just? Is it more likely that Kerr retires and takes the Warriors job and Donovan goes back to Florida?
I think that if I don't think either of those are going to happen, but if I had to pick one, I think that Florida job. I don't see Billy Donovan getting anywhere close to this Kentucky job. It's a dumpster fire. It's hot. Doesn't want to be in there. I don't think he wants to deal with that mess. Florida would be in a much better position, but still there would be a ton of pressure just because, I mean, that's their golden boy. So there would be a ton of pressure. So he may not even want that pressure on himself, but I definitely could see that being more likely than the Kentucky job.
Also, Florida has a football team to eat a lot of the fan heat. Kentucky doesn't.
That's true. Yeah. That's a fact.
I think that makes a big difference.
I think it does. For sure.
That's all I have. But I just think it's interesting to what was circling around there with Kentucky and Florida and Billy Donovan being connected to everything, every coaching job opening that is possible at the moment, from North Carolina to Kentucky and Florida that may not even open.
I think Billy Donovan has a better chance of. I mean, he'll get another NBA job than he is. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I apologize for spacing out there. The Buffalo-Boston game is going through their 9th fight in the last 3 or 4 minutes. So, all right, folks.
Let's go ahead and clean up this mess that it's near on the court. So, Coach is giving us that look.
Yeah. All right. So, catch y'all next blowout.
See you at the next blowout.